Welcome back to Mother's Journey to Holistic Health and Healing. I hope you are doing well. This is episode 10. And wow, episode 10, that's exciting. And today, as a matter of fact, my girls turned 15 months old today. And my son just completed kindergarten. He's in Montessori, so he just completed his Montessori school and will be moving on to first grade. So it's definitely a new time for change as we are moving into not only change in the weather, right? It's getting hotter. Definitely change in regards to the weather in terms of like the heat waves, the natural fires, the droughts. We're waiting on rain. Some places are pouring in rain. Changes in schedules, changes in our routines, life-changing events. There's a lot going on, lots of change going on around us, not just in our personal lives, maybe also in your professional lives, in your work, in your career. And then our outside world, of course, is always going through change. And some of it is dark and some of it is light. So this today's podcast episode, I wanted to get into talking about self-compassion and how we can really try to practice this and cultivate self-compassion into our daily life, especially in circumstances that are challenging. We go through so much in our everyday life as a mother, as a daughter, as a sister, or whatever you do in your career, teacher or health educator, practitioner, whatever the case is for you, stay-at-home mom. There's just so much that we do, so many hats that we wear. And with all the change that happens around us, it can be difficult sometimes to adjust to change. Whatever the change is that's happening around you in your life, whether it's in your personal self, your career, your family, relationships. Change can be good, right? Depending on how you look at it. Sometimes change can have a benefit. But at the same time, change can be challenging to adjust to. And I feel like, I'm just going to speak for myself and my personal experience. And oftentimes when I'm working with a client, we can be hard on ourselves. So I'd just like you to think about that for a minute. That whenever you're going through some type of change in your life, whatever kind of change, whether you're moving or you're changing careers or you're ending a relationship or I don't know, maybe you've had some really big insights coming up for you in your life, and there's some changes that need to be made around your health and your habits. There's a lot of change that can be happening, right? And so it can be really easy for our nervous system, our mental body, our emotional body, even our spirit, our physical body, right, to feel off, right, with this adjustment to change, whatever that change is and that looks like for you. And if you've been listening to the podcast since the beginning, I'm really passionate about talking about the 4 bodies of health, how physical health is not just our only health. We have our mental body, our emotional body, our spiritual body as well, in addition to that. So when we go through change, or experience any kind of change around us externally, it can kind of shake us up a little bit, right? It can kind of shake us up, our nervous system. We can start to have thoughts that aren't helpful, that might be unproductive, to make us feel more worried or maybe a bit more anxious. Then that leads us to feeling maybe helpless or just stressed or overwhelmed with the whole shift and all the changes, not feeling grounded, feeling uncertain, because with change comes uncertainty, right? And I think with uncertainty, there's fear behind that. There's fear, there's discomfort, there's some stress and overwhelm and worry because of that uncertainty. And depending on how you look at it, and especially if you have like a history of anxiety or trauma of any kind, that might heighten a little bit more for you. History of depression, PTSD, right? That might be a little bit heightened for you, as opposed to someone who maybe didn't go through some of those experiences. Maybe they're not shaken up as much as somebody else who has gone through the experiences of change or trauma, PTSD, depression. Maybe they might be impacted differently and feel differently about whatever kind of change is coming on. So just kind of throwing that out there into your awareness that when we're talking about self-compassion, going off topic here, I didn't take down any notes or any bullet points like I usually do. So sorry if I kind of like steer off into another direction. I was just kind of just guided today to talk about self-compassion today. But when we are going through these changes and we're not taught how to practice self-compassion towards ourselves, maybe, right, possibly, maybe you were, maybe a grandmother, maybe a family member or somebody. But I feel like not until we get into our more adult stages in life is when maybe we'll become more familiar with it. But we grow up with these experiences, childhood experiences, and we get older, adolescence into adulthood, not really even knowing how to practice self-compassion or even know what that looks like. Maybe if you go into therapy, maybe. But so I think it's really, really important to help us practice self-compassion as we navigate change throughout our life. Wherever the path life takes you. It's when we can learn, I should say rather. It's when we can learn to be more patient with ourselves, give ourselves a little bit more grace, talk to ourselves a little bit more, maybe nicer, or just with understanding. Like we would a close one, a loved one, a friend. You know, how would you help those people that you really care about get through a tough situation in life or some kind of change, life-changing event, changes they are going through in their life? How would you help them go through that if they came to you and said, you know what, I'm going through this right now. It's been really hard on me. I'm having a hard time adjusting, you know, whatever the case may be. Like, how would you comfort? What would you say? What would you do to help that person? Right? You're not trying to solve their problem. You're just trying to maybe comfort and be there for them. So how can you be there for yourself? How can you be there for yourself when you are going through some tough times in life, when you're trying to adapt to whatever kind of changes happening in your life, exciting changes, maybe some that really stress you out because you don't know what's going to happen, you know, whatever kind of change, to help you work and get through the change, what can you do to help yourself? What could you tell yourself? How can you practice understanding and self-compassion with yourself? So just kind of think about that for a moment, about like, what would you tell a loved one if they were going through some tough times? Maybe they were trying to really start off on a different path on their health journey. And they were making changes with their nutrition and being more active. And, they take a couple of days off or weeks off because, maybe something really, really shook them up in their life, and stepped away from it for a little while and kind of reverted back to old habits, which, by the way, is normal when it comes to making changes. It's normal to take steps back and get back on track. And they were just feeling really down about it, like a disappointment, like a failure, like they can't stick to anything. Like, what would you tell that person? Maybe it could be something like, you're doing great, you're actually making these changes. You've had this courage to actually make this change. You're actually committed to making these changes. You started off doing this, this, and this, and it's okay to take a couple steps back. It's normal, maybe, right? So maybe just by normalizing that it's okay for us to feel a certain way, acknowledging those emotions of whatever you're feeling. Like, it's okay to feel upset right now. It's okay to feel lost. It's okay to feel tired. It's okay, right? Telling yourself whatever you feel to validate that. And that whatever else that you need to hear, it's going to be okay. You're going to get through this. You're strong. You're capable of doing hard things. You don't need to have it all figured out. You'll get through this. You have help. You have support. You can find support. You're resourceful. So I think just by getting an understanding of what self-compassion can mean to you, it doesn't have to be anything complex. It's just keep it simple. Self-compassion is the antidote for self-judgment. So if you're often criticizing yourself or judging yourself, what could be the opposite of that you could tell yourself? And the more that you can kind of practice this and put into your life and practice some of those moments where you just feel really down about something and you notice yourself maybe saying things like, don't be weak, don't do this, don't do that, you should be okay, you should be doing this, like all the shoulds and shouldn'ts, what could you replace that with instead? It's okay to fill in the blank. You're going to get through this. Again, just thinking about something that you would tell a loved one, somebody you really care about, what you would tell them. What could you tell yourself that similar thing in a similar situation, or just when you're feeling lost or upset, when you're going through a difficult time? How might you be able to take a bit better care of yourself as well? In terms of your self-care, might going to bed a little bit earlier help you instead of staying up late to watch TV or on social media or the internet? Would drinking more water or maybe less caffeine or less alcohol serve you? Also a form of self-compassion. Taking time to eat. Your body still needs nourishment. So what can you do to take care of yourself? How could you talk to yourself a little bit more in a more nurturing way, basically, right? How could you talk to yourself in a little bit more of a nurturing way when tough times, tough circumstances are coming up, life-changing events. We're going to get through this. And maybe you might seek support from a therapist or a coach or somebody to help you through the transition that you're going through. Because transitions and life-changing events can be very overwhelming. And even with prayer and even with talking with friends and loved ones, may not be enough, and that's okay. You need more help from a therapist, counseling. They're trained for that, and that there's no shame behind it. So I just would like you to think about for yourself today. This is a short episode. Do you practice self-compassion in your daily life? If so, that's wonderful. Maybe that's something you can talk to your children with, your kids with, if you haven't already. Help them start practicing it at a young age, right? Because it starts in childhood. How can you break that generational gap there and instead start a new pathway for your kids and their kids and their kids and so forth? Maybe they can get passed on that way, generation to generation, and break generational cycles. And if you're not, how could you validate your emotions in a more, in a way that you are understanding of yourself? That you give yourself a bit of grace. Can you instead maybe stop calling yourself names and criticizing yourself? I was so stupid for this, and how could I do this? I'm so dumb, like an idiot, or anything like that. Because those wouldn't be words that you would tell your children or somebody that you love. I know that for sure. So why would you tell yourself those things? Because it is going to hurt you on a deeper level. And I promise you, it's going to help. It's not going to fix everything, but it's going to help make the transition a little bit more. You're going to be more resilient. You're going to build resiliency and confidence. Feel better about yourself and how you're handling difficult situations, because you know that even when sometimes, life sucks and some things really suck and it's really hard, it's those moments. How can you talk to yourself? What can you do to take care of yourself? To be understanding when nobody else is. Because when it comes down to it, we got to take accountability for ourselves. How we treat ourselves, how we take care of ourselves, how we talk to ourselves. Building this autonomy to where you can take full accountability and responsibility for how you talk to yourself in a more productive way. And that will make you feel a lot much better with going through those situations, because you know your nervous system, your soul, your mental, your emotional, your spiritual, your physical body will feel that in your body, in your soul. Your whole body will feel that, will feel how you're talking to it. So I challenge you to be a bit more mindful of how you talk to yourself in difficult times, tough circumstances, changes, life-changing events. That takes some practice just to notice. Start bringing yourself up instead of bringing yourself down. And just by telling yourself, it's okay if you don't have it all figured out right now. It's okay if you're not ready for this yet. It's okay if you haven't gotten this or that. Like, just simply acknowledging, and by saying, it's okay. I will get it figured out. We will figure this out. Right? It doesn't have to be like this completely positive message to yourself, but just something to help you feel safe grounded maybe, a little more at ease, less worried. So that way, as you're moving through these changes, your nervous system is a little bit more at ease, and it's not so much in the flight or flight response. And you can move about your day a little bit more, quote unquote, normally. So I hope that was helpful. I just wanted to keep it a little bit simple, but the overall message is, how can you practice self-compassion in your daily life? In difficult times, how can you take care of yourself and be more understanding and less judgmental, criticizing yourself less? And if you'd like more information on self-compassion, you can look up Kristen Neff. She's kind of like she's a big scientist who studies self-compassion, and she's got all kinds of really great meditation. She's got some books out on self-compassion. There's all kinds of resources out there. But simply just by noticing how you treat yourself, how you talk to yourself through change, when maybe something doesn't go as well as you'd like it to, and you're pretty hard on yourself, right? Maybe you're pretty hard on yourself a lot, because I do have a lot of clients like that, and they can be pretty hard on themselves, and it's hard for them to see any of the good things or things that they are doing that's going well. So any kind of moments like that where you can just notice like how you talk to yourself, and how maybe just becoming more aware of that can help plant the seed to shifting it towards talking to yourself in a more self-compassionate, understanding way, where you can start practicing and giving yourself a little bit more grace as we move through this amazing life, that whatever life throws at you, you can practice self-compassion. So I hope anything that I said today resonated, and whatever stood out to you was meant to stood out to you for a reason. And if this did not resonate with you today, that is okay. Maybe it will some other time. But that was what I wanted to come on and share with you all today. I hope you are doing well. I hope your families are doing well. And let's try to practice some self-compassion, talk to ourselves a little bit more understanding as we move through change, seasons of change, difficulty, uncertainties. We don't always have to have it all figured out, and we don't have to have it all together all the time. All right, friends. Well, thank you so much for your time today and listening. I'll catch you all next time.